got you triggered from the start, don't I? Everyone's super pumped for the iPhone 8, but no one is giving the iPhone 7 much credit anymore, given it's nearly 7 months old, and the Galaxy S8 just came out. I watch other tech channels, I'm following this stuff too. I see all the comparisons out there. It's like, even though these phones have a very vast amount of time between their introductions, we want to compare the two. S8 versus iPhone 7. And I think my proof that Samsung actually has made a disappointing lead up from the Note 7, which is a bit of a disappointment, I can say to the least. The S8 is a pretty boring upgrade. And of course, I know what you're thinking. Why do we care what the Apple sheep thinks? He's gonna like the iPhone no matter what. You're right. And I probably won't change your mind in this video. So if you wanted someone unbiased, you better just click away now. Hit the dislike, it won't offend me, go ahead. Usually in the past, when Samsung introduced their S phone after the release of an iPhone, it always paralleled all the iPhone's new features and then exceeded them. It always made me really jealous in the past. I remember when the S6 came out and the S7 came out, it was like, it has all these things the iPhone had. Even when Apple introduced the fingerprint reader, they matched it on the S4. It wasn't as good, but they had that feature so that you couldn't say the iPhone has that and the Galaxy doesn't. You know, when the S7 was competing with the 6S, that's when they were saying, hey, expandable storage, we got that waterproofing, we got a lower camera bulge, we got a higher screen resolution and curved displays. How? We're better in every way. That was a tough argument. I expect that when a phone comes out 6 months after the release of another that is at that flagship price, that new phone should be better in every way. Not seeing that with the S8. I see kind of a failed attempt at trying to attack Apple and Google simultaneously. Samsung's being kind of defensive. They don't want to take a side. Whereas I feel like a lot of people out there agree, why can't they work with Google instead of trying to compete with them, given they are running their own software? So some of those features I'm referring to that Samsung did not meet this time when competing directly with the iPhone 7, for one, a dual camera. This is something that I feel like is kind of becoming a standard now with the LG G6. The one conclusion I can determine about all modern day flagship smartphone cameras, they're looking too similar. If you show up a comparison and it's just like slight lighting changes, that's just going to be personal preference. That is not going to be, this is the better one, this is the worst one. It's just different. It's not a matter of worse or better, it's just the one you like more. So to just argue about megapixels and HDR, I think is endless because people don't really care about that thing when they take pictures. If you do care about megapixels in lighting and HDR and coloring and all that little stuff, you shouldn't be taking pictures with your phone. Get a real camera that actually has lenses and stuff. S8 is a fixed lens. iPhone at least got interesting. Added that telephoto camera, which isn't as good as the wide. We all understand that. But it does allow you to take those portrait shots, which look amazing and are unparalleled in my opinion. And at least it's a noticeable, obvious upgrade. You see, you have the regular iPhone 7 without the dual camera. When you pay more for that bigger model, $100 more, you get some extra features. You get that better battery and you get that dual camera. To me, that makes more sense that since you're paying all that extra, you should get some more features. With the S8, we have that big price difference for the slightly different screen resolutions with the only difference of battery. Everything else is exactly the same. So people who are buying the S8 Plus are literally paying $100 for an extra 500 milliamps, which again, Samsung doesn't really want to talk about how great battery life is, do they? The next thing Samsung didn't even attempt was the fingerprint scanner. I kind of feel like they basically removed it. So you have these very small camera bumps on the back of the S8, right? Those little ridges, and the exact same width ridge is that fingerprint reader, which is off-centered to the left of the camera. You know, if you're looking at it this way. You've heard what every single YouTuber has said about the S8 already. You confuse it with the camera all the time, which results in the camera being smudged and covered in fingerprints, and in the end, no one's gonna use their fingerprint to unlock their phone anymore. I praise Samsung on being one of those companies that actually put the fingerprint reader on the front. I think that's important. I think that's the whole point of having the fingerprint readers. You don't have to stare into the phone to make it unlocked. You can just touch it. You don't have to readjust it and make it look at you. You can just touch it once and it opens. They've ditched that now because they wanted the screen to be extra tall. That was the reasoning. The other advantage that I thought was a no-brainer was stereo speakers. Apple very cleverly hid a very loud speaker where the earpiece is. You know, some guy at the Apple R&D department was like, hey, people want stereo speakers, right? Yeah, what's your point? We got one in the top. It's called the earpiece. Yeah, but that one's just for really quiet phone calls. Yeah, just, you know, make it louder. Oh, you're right! That's really smart. I love stereo speakers on my iPhone. There's an earpiece on the S8, right? Why couldn't they have just stolen that idea? Not that complicated. I mean, just, you know, go ahead. Just do that. But no, instead they want to have that not front-facing, sideways-facing loudspeaker that is instantly muted when you hold your phone the wrong way. Like, they had plenty of opportunity to do better here. One attack point I would quickly like to discourage are the people saying that Samsung includes very premium $100 AKG headphones. Earbuds, to be more precise, that use the headphone jack, which I give Samsung props to. If Google Pixel is going to brag about having a headphone jack, you should include headphones. So yes, thank you for listening. Also, thank you for putting it on the bottom, as it belongs. But I have to dock points because while they do advertise it being included in their premium, the starting price of the S8 is $100 more than the S7 was, starting at like $740, I believe. The S8 is more expensive, and there's not like more storage configurations. There's just 64. 64 is a lot, but you don't have that 32 gig now. See, at least with the iPhone, your starting price is in the 600 range. Save people some money. And what has the world come to? Apple is now the cheaper option? Like, for more than 5 different things, Apple is now the cheaper alternative. What is going on here? And yes, Apple includes earbuds with the iPhone. Yes, they're Lightning. Yes, I don't support Lightning headphones. Yes, I'd like USB-C on the next iPhone, but you don't have to pay an extra $100 for those headphones. Why couldn't they sell the S8 in an option without the headphones and just made them cheaper and say, we're gonna trust that you have your own pair of audio jack headphones. That's why we kept the audio jack, right? Because that's what everyone already has. Save some money, people. It also kind of frustrates me that Samsung relies on you to have more storage than 64. I can guarantee that people who vlog a lot are going to fill up 64 very easily. The first phone I ever had was 64 gigs, my iPhone 5. And it's already a very expensively priced phone. And they just say if you want more than 64, you're gonna have to buy a micro SD card. Hey, come on, it's not that hard. Put the little chip in there. It's simple. That's what the iPhone did. 32, 128, 256. Plenty of options, and those 2 higher ones are gonna be very hard to fill for average users. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying that the iPhone 7 is the better phone for you. In my mind it is, but you know, Apple sheep, so of course it is. But if I was speaking in a more unbiased sense, Samsung really could have attacked the iPhone 7 a lot easier. I would have added the dual camera because it's really stupid when you have a full-on upgrade, you know, like S7 to S8, and you don't even change the camera. People are comparing the cameras, barely any difference. You make the fingerprint reader so inaccessible that you're essentially wasting money because no one's gonna open their phone that way now. It's so impractical, everyone's gonna use Face Unlock or Iris Unlock. It honestly would have been better if they just left it out, because it would have made the phone cheaper. And if you're gonna include headphones that are $100 separately, then don't make the phone cost $100 more. But there is one thing you got me on the S8 for. That display, because bezels suck, right? You got me there. I'm gonna be really jealous of all of you people who accidentally bump the display all the time and get to watch YouTube videos with warped edges and have to have black bars on the side because you're not 16:9 anymore and have to reach your thumb farther at the top and bottom and accidentally trigger Bixby all the time because you've got a dedicated button that can change for different apps. So now we have all kinds of buttons on the side. Yeah, I'm gonna be super jealous. S8 doesn't have product red. Let that sink in. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.